Hey everybody, how's it going? All right, we're back with some more reaction videos. Now, a lot of you have requested tons of videos. I have so many videos that you guys want me to watch and react that I probably have enough for the next few months. But we will start today's reaction video with Geography Now India. Highly recommended. Now, I do believe I did watch this prior to today. So I have seen a lot of it, but it is a very, very recommended video to react to. So I figured, hey, why not? Let's go ahead and rewatch it, maybe jog my memory on some of the things that go on, because I am a little bit forgetful here and there. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive right in. Geography Now India, 6 years ago. It is a little bit older, which is, which is perfectly fine. 5.4 million views. Wow. Update: Jammu and Kashmir is now a union territory. That was 3 years ago. Wow. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and go back to the beginning here.
So, we have finally encroached upon the giant India. Some of you have been waiting
And India is huge. It is giant.
a long time for this episode. I'm just gonna say straight up, you all know India is incredibly complex and diverse. Even Indians have trouble understanding their own country. Obviously, I won't.
I will say from some of the comments that I have had in my previous like Geoguessr videos, I do find that pretty evident. Like a lot of the times people are saying, "Oh, I'm from like northern India. I can't understand." You can recognize the languages of like southern India a lot quicker than I could, and I'm like, well, I mean that's thanks for the compliment.
Won't be able to scratch even the surface in this episode, but I'll try my best. A lot of you Indian geography peeps have helped me along the way, so thank you. And without further ado, let's begin.
Okay.
It's time to learn geography.
Now! Hey,
Great intro. The fantastic intro. I need an intro.
everybody, I'm your host Barbie. This place doesn't even need much of an introduction. Everybody has heard of India. It's big, it's loud, it's colorful, and most importantly, it has a plethora of confusing territorial anomalies that I just can't wait to cover. Here we go.
It is a little confusing from an outsider's, point of view. It's very confusing. The second intro.
There's an old saying, India is a place where everyone is in a hurry, but no one is ever on time. First of all, India is located in South Asia, right on the Indian and Arabian Seas and the Bay of Bengal, bordered by 6 other countries, so close to 7, but that land bridge between Sri Lanka got wiped away like 600 years ago by a cyclone. India
By a cyclone. 600 years ago by a cyclone. Can you imagine, like, the power of a cyclone to just tear away the earth?
is divided into 29 states and 7 union
Okay. This is already massive. I think I know most of these. Yeah. Wait. Orissa? I thought it was Odisha. Have I been mispronouncing this the whole time? Have I really? Hmm.
territories with the capital New Delhi, which acts as its own administrative unit, located in the Capital Territory. Keep in mind, New Delhi is actually just the name of one of the districts in the Capital Territory made up of 11. The largest city, however, is actually Mumbai, with New Delhi, Bangalore.
Mumbai is probably the city that most Westerners know out of like all the cities.
Or Bengaluru, and Hyderabad.
Bengaluru? Hold on, let's go back here. I want to hear them all again.
The largest city, however, is actually Mumbai, with New Delhi, Bangalore, or Bengaluru, and Hyderabad following after. However, the 4 busiest airports
Bangalore. I'm terrible with pronunciations.
are Delhi Indira Gandhi International, Mumbai's Chhatrapati Shivaji International, Bengaluru's Kempe Gowda International, and Chennai
Bengaluru. He's rolling his R's. Bengaluru. Bengaluru.
International in the south. You know why I'm smiling. This is my favorite part of any episode we ever make. Territorial anomaly time. India is loaded with strange borders
I see they're showing off these borders here that are disputed.
and deliciously complex demarcation lines. First of all, what exactly is a union territory? In the simplest way I can put this, union territories are places that are too distinct to be incorporated into a state, but too small to have their own local governments. The first one, of course, is the Delhi National Capital Territory, where the capital lies. Chandigarh is a post-independent...
So this is kind of like how in the U.S. here we have Washington D.C. It's its own unit, like it's it's bigger than like a traditional city, but it's not part of like any of the surrounding states. Okay, Chandigarh is one as well.
City constructed to replace Lahore as the capital of the Punjab area after it was split up between India and Pakistan. Then you have the island territory.
Oh, I didn't catch that the first time. Wait, are these both considered Punjab? Is that I don't know much about Pakistan. That's also something I need to learn a little bit more about.
As the capital of the Punjab area after it was split up between India and Pakistan. Then you have the island territories, the smallest one, Lakshadweep, and the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The
Lakshadweep. Okay.
Andaman Islands being home to one of the last uncontacted people groups on the planet.
Everyone knows about the Senegal Island. It's like a huge thing. If you go down like the conspiracy theory rabbit hole or like the just anything really that has to do with like internet culture, like over here, like everyone knows about the Senegal Island here.
The Sentinelese tribes
Sentinelese
been hostile to visitors and are therefore left alone, as well as the Nicobar Islands, which actually used to be a short-lived colony of Denmark. Finally, the three remaining territories are former European colony towns and ports: Dadra and Nagar Haveli,
Dadra and Nagar Haveli. Okay.
Diu, which are separated by about 200 kilometers across the Gulf of Kambat, and the most confusing Union territory.
Wait, those are considered a single territory and they're separated? Oh, that's cool.
The French-speaking Putucherry, which is actually split up between 4 district cities across.
What? Wait. It's in Tamil Nadu, in Kerala, and Odisha? Or is that part of... No, that's part of Andhra Pradesh, isn't it?
India. Karikal, Mahe, Yanaon, and Pondicherry. Pondicherry is strange because it has 11 enclaves within the Tamil Nadu state. Oh, and in this area, you can also find the experimental hippie-ish commune with...
Well, okay.
Look it up. Oh, and don't forget, here, the eastern states, also known as the Seven Sisters, are connected by this incredibly narrow 27-kilometer wide pathway known as the Siliguri Corridor. This pathway...
The Siliguri Corridor. I like the name.
Is like a crucial artery that completes the India puzzle. Or so you would think. Now let's discuss the juicy stuff. Now in the China episode, I already talked about the disputed areas with India, such as Aksai Chin and Arunachal Pradesh. The latter pretty much just belonging to India as it's almost completely inhabited.
I like the way he says these words. Arunachal. He's very... It's very rolly. I like it.
Inhabited and operated by Indians. So let's move to the other disputes. Now, as of 2015, the Bangladesh episode is already outdated as India and Bangladesh have finally come to an agreement over the frighteningly complex former enclave-exclave dispute. In the end, India...
Yeah, this is something that I knew years and years and years ago. How it like there was parts just in and out and all over the place. It was wild, and it's cool that they got it all sorted. But look at this. Oh, this is wild.
India only lost about 40 square kilometers of land to Bangladesh, and now only a few enclaves and exclaves exist. Now let's head north. Now, when you try to draw the shape of India, you might want to be careful which depiction you use. Some might use this picture, some might use this, some might use this, and those that don't really study very well might use this. The point is, the whole area is like the most heavily militarized, diplomatically stressed out region on the planet. It's already had like 4 wars in the past half century. Basically, India, Pakistan, and to some extent China all want the entire area for themselves, although it's more of like a Pakistan-India thing. In the China episode, we already discussed the Chinese disputes with India, so I won't cover those in this episode. If you want to learn more, just watch the China episode. But anyway, this entire area was a former domain known as the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir that was under royal Maharaja rulers all the way up until independence. Currently, this place is split up by this fenced-off militarized line known as the Line of Control between India and Pakistan. Why is this? Well, in the quickest way I can put this...
Okay, the British are out. We get to take your land.
No, we want to be an independent princely state.
We're supposed to take your land, and majority of your people are Muslim, just like us, even though your ruler is Hindu as well.
Hey, India?
Yeah?
If you help me, I'll let you secede my territory to your land with autonomy.
Deal.
Okay. Sorry. This is very funny. Okay.
Your problem now! I love how Mike played India. He totally represents India. Oh, and keep in mind, Pakistan's capital, Islamabad, is less than 80 kilometers away from all that drama. The line of
Okay.
control meanders through the mountains until it stops at a point called NJ9842. This is where things get really crazy because from there you hit the Siachen Glacier, the second longest non-polar glacier in the world, and this is pretty much the dead man zone. After point NJ9842, you hit the actual ground position line, a series of military outposts that extend all the way to the Chinese border. That means everything in this area is ground zero for the Indo-Pak tension. And you know, the crazy thing is there's actually literally small towns of normal, regular civilians living in these areas high up in the mountains, many of which just go about daily life, going to work and raising their families. Otherwise,
Wow.
they have a river dispute with Nepal and various river islands disputed with Bangladesh. Outside of all the dispute stuff though, India not only has the world's second largest road network and 3 of the world's top 10 megacities and their own space program, but they also have a copious abundance of landmarks and notable
I'm actually really excited to know more about the Indian space program. Any space program is a good space program as long as they're upfront about everything. Looking at you, China, you always seem a little shady. I don't trust the CCP. Just getting that out there. Never really trusted the Chinese Communist Party. I actually. Before India, I did a huge deep dive on a lot of like Chinese history and current day like political things. That was one of my major go-tos for I guess history and geography, kind of what I'm doing now with India. But yeah, I know too much about China. I really don't like the Chinese Communist Party, and I guess you know what I lost some good boy points there. Oh no, poor me.
sites, way too many to list, but some of the ones that you guys, the Indian geography peeps, have told me to mention include places like the abandoned Danush Kodi Ghost City, Golconda Fort, the 4 pillars of Charminar, the Ajanta Buddhist art caves, the
Whoa. Oh my god, these places look so cool. I don't remember this from the first time I watched this video.
monolithic ruins, Mandu Fortress, the Golden Temple, which feeds over 100,000 people a day, the Golgumbaz Mausoleum, the Kalavantin Durg Post, the ruins of Hampi, the hill forts of Rajasthan, Shatrunjaya Hill, which is basically like a Mecca for Jains, the Temple of the
What is Jains? What is a Jains? Jainism? Did that say Jainism? What is
forts
that?
of Rajasthan, Shatrunjaya Hill, which is basically like a
Jainism. What is Jainism? I don't know.
Mecca for Jains, the Temple of the Bodhi Tree, Jal Mahal, Bangart Fort, the most haunted place in India, Mahabat Maqbara, and keep in mind, just like in China, you can find a Great Wall of India in Rajsamand. There's also the Paritala Anjaneya Temple with the largest statue in India depicting Hanuman, and at over 150 acres, the Sri Rangan Attaswamy Temple, the largest
I
Hindu
thought it was the Statue of Unity. Is the Statue of Unity newer than 6 years old? I thought the Statue of Unity was the largest statue.
in the world. Oh yeah, and there's also that building with the stuff in the thing, whatever. Anyway, we could go
The
on
Taj
for centuries
Mahal,
talking about
okay.
India's rich constructed domicile, but what it lies on top of is even more fascinating.
Physical
Now, don't make
geography.
this mistake.
Wow.
I'm going to India. All I need are my sandals and sunscreen.
Now, as the 7th largest country in the land area, India has a wide range of landscapes, climates, and elevations that all contrast from one corner to the other. First of all, let's talk about the north. India sits on the Indian tectonic plate that essentially smashed into the Eurasian plate, which in return created the largest mountain range in the world, the Himalayas. The force is so strong that it's estimated that the Himalayas grow about 2.4 inches or 6.1 centimeters every year. There's also where we can find Kanchenjunga, the tallest mountain in India, or the third in the world,
Kanchenjunga.
right on the border of Nepal. Keep your eye on these.
Fun fact about the Himalayas: Everest is, considered, the highest mountain, but in actuality, there are other mountains that technically would be taller in, like measurement sense. There's that underwater mountain in Hawaii, which technically, if you were to like match them side by side, it would be way taller. And then there's a mountain in Colombia that is technically closest to space because of the way like the earth kind of isn't like a perfect sphere. It's kind of like a squished like little orb thing. But yeah, since it sits so close to the equator, it's technically taller or closer to space. And then there's also like the what is it called, the D, it starts with a D. It starts with a D. Denali. The Denali mountain range is like one of the harshest mountains to actually climb, and it's here in the U.S. as well.
Mountains. These are pretty much the source of most of India's major rivers that give life to the whole country. That's why India takes these mountains so seriously. You can also find the largest natural lake, Wular, up in the Jammu Kashmir area. Below the Himalayas, you reach the North Indian River Plains, sometimes referred to as the Indus Ganga. This is the most fertile part of India where the most important rivers like the Ganges and its tributaries flow. Heading a little
It is pronounced Ganges. I keep forgetting this. I want to call it like Ganges, like he said Ganga, but it's Ganges. Okay.
south, you reach the Satpura and Vindhya ranges that pretty much divide North India from South India. On each side, you get the West and East Ghat Mountains, which in return creates this massive triangle thing called the Deccan Plateau. This place is moderately forested, especially in the east, in the Chotra Nagpur Plateau, where you get a section of the swampy Sundarbans that they share with Bangladesh. Check out the Bangladesh episode. Head a little west and you get the dry Thar Desert along the border with Pakistan, as well as the Rann of Kutch, known as the Salt Desert. And finally, the only
Salt Desert, okay.
active volcanic area would be the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, with Barren Island having actual conical eruptions and Bharatan having tame mud volcanoes. Now
so there's no volcanoes in India? I would have thought, since it's such a such a mountainous area, that there'd be tons of volcanoes. Okay.
here's the thing, although India has a relatively high population density, they do relatively well with maintaining their ecological footing. In fact, in 2016, they beat a world record by planting, disputably, 50 million trees in one day. They've also agreed to reforest about 12% of their country by 2030. The most heavily forested area being the 7 sister states in East India. Now, one of the factors that contributes to this would be the fact that India has the lowest meat consumption in the world, with the highest population percentage of vegetarians at around 40%, most of whom are lacto-vegetarians that consume milk products. By the way, in India, when buying groceries, this label means vegetarian and this one means not vegetarian. Nonetheless, the remainder of the population does typically eat some kind of animal protein, mostly in the forms of seafood or chicken, but almost never beef or pork unless if you are part of the Muslim or Christian minorities scattered throughout the West and East areas. Now, let's talk about the role of
Okay, so the Muslim and Christians still eat beef. Interesting. Okay. I mean, I guess the non-consumption of beef is more of like a Hinduism thing, right? But you would still think, like, culturally that would still like leak out to the other people that follow other religions. Okay, interesting.
cattle, shall we? India has more cattle and livestock than anywhere else in the world at around 330 million.
I didn't know
it's
that.
Interesting because since they have prevalent Hindu traditions, the killing of cows is illegal in many of the states except for a few, and each state has varying degrees of punishment for committing intentional cow slaughter. Keyword intentional. Cows accidentally get hit by cars all the time. Once a cow is too old to produce milk, it typically is released into the open to die naturally in the wild, ideally. Nonetheless, male cattle get it much worse, as they are deemed as kind of useless. Some places use them as draft animals for labor, some religious sects use them as sacrifices, but otherwise they are typically sold to the underground market for beef or hides. To this day, there are about 6
Underground market for beef? Interesting.
times as many female cows as male cattle in India, so that means, yeah, something's happening to the males. Nonetheless, India does have the 3rd highest carbon emission.
It's the same thing here in the U.S. because, you know, female cows are valued way higher here in the U.S. Typically, male cows are really just used as like a sperm donor. Most farms here only have female cows as well, mostly for like dairy production.
Rate after China and the US, 4th if you consider the EU. However, emission per capita, they rank pretty low at only about 2 kilotons per person.
That's
Contrast
good.
that with Qatar at about 40. There are 94 national parks, 501 animal sanctuaries across the country where you can find some of the national animals like the peacock, the Ganges River dolphin, the king cobra.
Peacocks are Indian? I didn't know peacocks were Indian. It makes... Oh my God, that makes so much sense. I see markings with peacocks on buildings all the time. Why did I not get that connection? my bad.
The Indian elephant, and the highest population of Bengal tigers in the world, which are all highly protected. India also has the most irrigated land in the world, which allows them to become the #1 producer of multiple products like millet, bananas, lemons, limes, mangoes, ginger, chickpeas, milk, butter, fennel, jute, and about 75% of the world's spices alone come.
Yeah, the spices, like all the spices seem to come from India. It's wild. What is millet? He said something about millet. I don't know what millet is.
#1 producer of multiple products like millet.
What is millet? I don't think I at least it's not a name that I recognize.
Bananas, lemons, limes, mangoes, ginger, chickpeas, milk, butter,
I love chickpeas. I always make like a hummus with chickpeas. I go out of my way to get some good chickpeas.
fennel, jute, and about 75% of the world's spices alone come from India. Speaking of which, food! Typically, you can find the staples roti, chapati, and naan in the north, idli and dosa in the south, and everybody eats rice. The more commonly commercialized Indian foods that we in the West grew up knowing, like samosas, tikka masala, tandooris, and my favorite Indian dish, palak paneer, these usually come from the northern regions of India. Seriously.
There was a when I lived in Kansas City, Missouri, there was a really nice Indian restaurant that I would go to all the time. This was 15 years ago now. But I remember just loving every single dish that I had there. And it's I haven't had any Indian food in like the past 10 years, a decade at the very least. I really need to figure out a way to get some Indian food.
India, you took spinach and made it fat. I love you guys. Otherwise, the West is mostly known for their chutneys and pickled foods, as well as beef, since there's a high number of Muslims and Christians. The South uses a lot more coconut and has some of the best curries like porials, sambras, rasams, and tutus. And the East is known for having the best desserts like peda, mishti doi, rasgulla, or shondesh. Speaking of which, India is so diverse and complex that sometimes even Indian people need translators when going to different states. It's about to get 10 times more confusing in about 3, 2, 1. Shashti Tharoor once said, in India, we
I know him. I know him. I know him.
celebrate the commonality of major differences. We are a land of belonging rather than blood. First of all, India has a population of about 1.3 billion people and is the second most populous country in the world after China, with about 18%
It's the most populous now, isn't it?
of the world's population. About 72% of the country is Indo-Aryan and a quarter are Dravidian. And
Indo-Aryan. What is Indo-Aryan? Why the Aryan denomination on that?
the majority of the remainder are Mongoloid, Asian, and other people groups. They also use the Indian rupee as their currency. They use the Type C, D, and M plug outlets.
Oh my gosh. You use those European plugs? Gross. Ugh. Ugh. Terrible. Sorry.
And they drive on the left side of the road. By the way, technically it's illegal for these banknotes to leave the country, but you guys have sent me a lot
Is it really? I want some Indian banknotes. How do I get some Indian banknotes?
of them for fan mail for Fan Friday videos, so I don't want to go to jail. Again. Now keep in mind, those statistics that I just mentioned are incredibly generalized. Of the Indo-Aryan and Dravidian communities, there are about 2,000 different ethno-linguistic people groups in India, with about 645 district indigenous
so
tribes,
many.
52 major ones. So obviously we can't cover them all, but what we do know is that the North is very different from the South. For one, the North mostly speaks in languages that are all related to the Indo-Aryan branch, with languages like Hindi, Bengali, Punjabi, and Gujarati, whereas the South speaks a completely unintelligible Dravidian branch, with languages like Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, and Kannada.
Whoa, 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 wait. What is this up here? What is this up here? Oh, is this like okay. Interesting.
Otherwise, there's
Canada,
also pockets
yeah.
of Sino-Tibetan and Austroasiatic languages spoken in the far north and east.
Wait, so how do they all, like, communicate with each other?
Great question. Although India does not have an official language, there are 22 recognized national languages, and of these, 2 are the most prevalent, taught in schools, and used by government officials, Hindi and English. And very often, these
Okay.
2 are like mixed mid-sentence. It's weird. Don't be surprised if you hear someone speaking Hindi and then suddenly finishing off in English. It's like,
Sabi ko to big verses. And I was like, this, and I was like trying to why are you even trying to do that?
I know, right? And in the washing machine, I told them, a Bob Saget with a chainsaw. Now, of course, let's discuss
What?
the one thing that goes hand in hand with India, Hinduism. About 80% of India claims to be Hindu.
I want to learn more about Hinduism. This is something I definitely want to learn more about.
Or at least part of the Hindu practicing community. Now, we don't have time to explain everything about the tenets and multi-layered philosophies and practices of Hinduism. If you want to know, just talk to a Hindu person. But basically, one thing you do need to know is that Hindu-driven ideologies pretty much dominate most of life in India, everything from family to business. You will see colorful, mesmerizing shrines, temples, statues, and rituals being performed everywhere, even in public. On the Bharat Mata, the mother of India, statues are everywhere. She's like the symbol of India. The
Bharat
largest Hindu
Mata.
pilgrimage, the Kumbh
Okay.
Mela, happens every 3 years, rotating between 4 cities, in which the adherents bathe in the Ganges River and enjoy a massive festival with tens of millions of
I have heard of this, the Kumbh Mela. he just said it. And I've already forgot how to pronounce it, but I have heard of this.
people. Like, seriously, you can practically see it happening from space. Now, a controversial topic in relation to Hinduism would be the caste system, which is basically a belief that people are born into a socioeconomic life that they are destined to serve into. Today, however, the system is more fluid and loose from what it used to be from a long time ago, and thanks to economic reforms, anybody with enough drive can kind of move up the social ladder regardless of birth. Nonetheless, India is home to every major religion in the world, even a few Jews, including
Wow.
the B'nai Menashe.
I don't know what Jainism is. It showed Jainism again. I don't know what Jainism. There's Jewish people in India as well. That's interesting. B'nai Menashe.
An indigenous group that claimed to be one of the lost tribes of Israel. In fact, Judaism and
Oh.
Christianity actually had a head start in India way before it even kicked off in Europe. As tradition holds, Cochin or Malabar Jews migrated around 1000 BC to trade during the times of King Solomon, and in 53 AD, Thomas the Apostle of Jesus arrived in what is now the state of Kerala to establish the first church in India. Today, most Christians are found in the southwest and far east Seven Sisters regions. India also
Oh wow. Look, it's like majority Christian over here. Okay.
holds the highest population of Sikhs, Jains, and Zoroastrians.
I don't know
mostly
what a
found in the
Jain
north,
is.
And the second largest Muslim population in the world after Indonesia. Most Muslims are populated around the northwest areas by Pakistan or in the east by Bangladesh. Oh, and don't forget the Buddhists. In fact, Buddhism actually started in India. Today, the Dalai Lama even takes refuge in Tezpur in the state of Assam. That was a
wow.
lot of information.
Okay.
Okay, so by now you can probably get a grasp of how incredibly mixed and diversified India's population is, but what exactly holds the country together? Well, for one, you kind of have to understand Indian history, which will take way too long to explain, but in the quickest way I can put it, Indus Valley, Maurya and Gupta empires, southern empires, Golden Age, Middle Kingdoms, a ton of new religions come flocking in, the north fell to the Delhi Sultanate, the south became the Vijayanagara Empire, the Mughal Empire starts, British East India Company, direct British rule, nationalist movements, independence, republic, economic liberalization in 1991, and here we are today.
Wow.
Vijaya.
Okay.
Essentially, India used to be made up of around 500 smaller royal princely states, and when the British came in, they kind of exploited them to manage such a huge population. Although India is a democratic federal republic and the largest democracy in the world, the old royal
Wow.
families still exist today, and although they have no political power, they hold high positions of influence in their communities across India. So today, technically, you could meet someone that would be considered an Indian prince or princess. Nonetheless, the biggest thing that really united Indians
Fun fact, my family lineage goes back directly to royalty in Spain as well. So technically, I tracked my family bloodline, but it doesn't matter anymore.
in the past 2 centuries would probably be their hatred of British rule. It was kind of like, well,
I've noticed that. It's fair as well.
This is not cool.
yep.
What do you say you and I work together and end this thing?
Essentially, one good thing you could say that came out of imperialism was that it kind of stopped all the internal squabbling and unified the groups towards one common goal, to get rid of imperialism. Today, Indians are just proud to be Indian. I mean, a Tamil soccer player can get cheered on by a Rajasthani, a Punjabi pop star can sell out tickets in Orissa. Speaking of which, all Indian
It is Orissa? I thought it was Odisha. I've been calling the country wrong this entire time. It's Orissa. I apologize. Okay.
Indians love movies and music. India has the second largest film industry in terms of volume, pumping out nearly 2,000 films per year. Surprisingly, Nigeria pumps out more. However, the box office revenues gross out at only about $2 billion annually compared to Hollywood at over $10 billion, but still, it's impressive. And keep
I don't know. Hollywood's kind of on the decline. I'm just pointing that out. A lot of bad decisions. A lot of just throwing out trash movies. Hollywood's on a huge decline, but that's not for this channel. Anyways.
in mind, it's not just Bollywood, but it's also Tollywood, Gollywood, Collywood, Pollywood, and so on. There's like 20 different woods in India. Oh, and like every movie in India has at least one scene where everybody breaks out in song, and there's almost always a happy ending. Unfortunately, mainstream media has also
My favorite movies are the movies with the bad endings, the sad endings, where the villain wins. Those are my favorite movies.
put an aesthetic strain on many of the people, as it's almost become an obsession to be light or fair-skinned, causing people to go so far as to buy skin bleaching products. Some other
Why? What?
controversies include things like illiteracy being an issue in many parts of the country, especially in the rural areas. But I mean, come on, when your country has literally hundreds of different writing systems, go figure. I mean, give them a break. Also, many of you guys, the Indian geography peeps, have asked me to bring awareness to the fact that India does unfortunately have some of the highest rates of human trafficking and child slavery. The government is trying to crack down and culture is slowly being reformed, but for now, it's a sad reality that still does exist. Hey,
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. There's a lot of parts of the world that have a lot of human trafficking and slavery and all that. I was actually going on a deep dive yesterday on a lot of countries in Africa where there's human trafficking, kidnapping, slavery. I mean, there's instances where like kids are kidnapped and sold to be like child soldiers, and they're sold for like as low as like 20 USD. It is ridiculous, but yeah, it's a travesty. It's an unfortunate reality that most of the world had to deal with, and still has. Some parts still have to deal with it.
Hey, here at GN, we talk about the good and the bad. I'm just saying. Otherwise, sports do definitely tie everyone together as well, especially cricket, the national sport, even though they also used to do really well in field hockey. India
I've
also
never
has a lot of
watched
their own
cricket.
indigenous sports like Dopkel in Assam, bull racing in Kerala, Insuknar, rod pushing in Mizoram, and Malakamba, the strange pole yoga gymnastics thing in the south. Otherwise, some notable people from India or of Indian descent might include people like Siddhartha Gautama or the Buddha, Mahavir, Ashoka the Great, Prithviraj Chauhan, Aurangzeb, Shivaji of the Maratha Empire, Mohandas or Mahatma Gandhi, Indira Gandhi, Subhash Chandra Bose, Jawaharlal Nehru, Rabindranath Tagore, C.V. Raman, Satyendra Nath Bose, Bhagat Singh, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, Shah Rukh Khan, Amitabh Bachchan, Amir Khan, Salman Khan, Priyana Chopra, Ben Kingsley, Sundar Pichai, Satya Narayana Nadella, A.R. Rahman, Sachin Tendulkar, and Mahendra Singh Dhoni. There's also literally millions of other famous people I missed out on. If you want to mention
Well,
them,
yeah.
please, there's a comment section below. Use it. In the meantime, we got to finish this info marathon, shall we? Now,
Friend
no
zone.
surprise, India is huge and therefore has a huge international outreach when it comes to diplomacy to almost everyone, except their immediate neighbors. First of all, countries with large population percentages of Hindus and Indians like Fiji, Guyana, Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago, Mauritius, and Malaysia typically stay close to India's roster of go-to friends. They enjoy cordial relations with trade. Now, the UK may have left on a sour note, but they still have a lot of ties to their former colonizer in terms of business and tourism. India is still part of the Commonwealth, not Commonwealth realm, there's a difference, and the UK has over 1.5 million citizens of Indian descent. As mentioned in the China episode, China is kind of like India's "I'm only here to do business with you and nothing else" friend, as drama still hasn't subsided in regards to the territorial
Friend?
conflicts. Now, when it comes to the US, things started kind of sour back in the 70s during the Indo-Pak War of 1971, when the US sided with Pakistan, their arch nemesis. Today, relations have cooled off. Mostly, the US supports India's move towards democracy and is a key ally in the military conflicts in the Middle East. When it comes to their best friends, however, most of the Indians I talked to have said Russia and Bhutan. Russia because during the Indo-Pak Wars,
really?
Russia came in and supported them, and ever since then, each country has held a high position of respect for the other, especially as global superpowers. Bhutan and India signed a treaty of friendship almost immediately after independence. The two countries have shared interests and a currency-pegged system as well. Bhutan even supported the annexation of their cousins in the Sikkim state into India.
Sikkim. I called it Sikkim. It's Sikkim. Okay.
As it gave a nice buffer of land from China's stake to their claim. In conclusion, you will not find anywhere else on Earth like India. Thousands and millions of people inhabiting a colorful, majestic, green, slightly gritty at times slab of Earth, blessed and cursed in so many ways, yet wonderfully harmonized, mostly in a unity unlike anywhere else. In the end, that's India. Stay tuned, Indonesia is coming
Okay.
up next.
Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, that's pretty awesome. That's one of the things I love about India. It's just so vast. It's so big. There's just so much. There's so much depth to it, and I still have so much. I have so much to learn about it too. On the last video, my last reaction video, someone posted like 15, 20 links to videos all about the history of India and their relations with different countries. So I'm definitely gonna go on a deep dive. I'll probably react to most of them and throw them up on the channel if I can. But yeah, there's going to be a lot more reaction videos to come. So make sure to comment, like, subscribe, do all the normal YouTube shenanigans, and I will catch you next time, okay? Take care. Goodbye.